Hello, welcome to this channel. In this video I'm gonna be testing a prototype 29cm size handlebar that I created back in the day for totally different reasons than the ones I'm using it today. I went to buy a new handlebars because the 38 I was using in this bike was feeling too wide. So I'm gonna throw this 29 handlebar through very rough conditions on a fast gravel and road descent to see how it handles. That should give me a loose idea to evaluate what size I need to buy. So here we go with this little downhill. Right off the bat, I can see how easy it is to do a seated acceleration. It feels nimble, and for the exact reasons I was having the need to go narrow. We can call it posture efficiency, although the main postulated reason in racing is aerodynamics for narrow handlebars. Since here what we are interested is in urban cycling, the reality is that aerodynamics is one factor amongst many others in what we could call energy economy. As posture efficiency is more important in an urban context where short acceleration swings are the constant. In urban cycling, in my opinion, a good versatile bike needs to handle really fast speeds and at the same time really slow speeds, and doing the transition between both really well. The slow speed becomes especially relevant when carrying cargo, sometimes up to 50 kilos uphill on a normal bicycle. For that reason, the need of maintaining a sustainable posture to avoid harm to the backbone is super important. To begin with, you can see the stem is really short, although when I put the flat bars I use a much longer stem. I guess it depends on the posture and the frame size. By the way, I just hit hard my back wheel with some rock. That's bad news. If descending on gravel with a road bike with 29 handlebars wasn't enough, if the rear wheel is flatted, which is impossible to know unless I stop to check, I could wipe out hard anytime. So I guess in this short gravel section I will be focusing on sensing a possible wheel flat before it's too late. Nonetheless, I always carry spare tubes and a mechanical toolkit for these situations. But when going uphill, I encountered a lot of rabbits running across the road, and considering it's weekend full of people, the odds of a wipeout crash are now really high. Okay, here starts the fast asphalt downhill. This is where the prototype handlebars build quality will show its worth. I have no doubts that the aluminum welding I did back in the day will hold. The sketchy thing is that for other reasons I also drilled a bunch of holes to the bars, like 1 centimeter diameter holes. So yeah, not trusting its structural integrity a bit. That's the reason I consider it a prototype and not a truly reliable handlebar. By the way, this car was driving in the opposite side of the road. The odds against me keep piling up. Passing through some intersections and I just realized I don't know this neighborhood at all. So right now I'm paying a lot of attention to the brakes response in case there's anything unexpected. So here I should have turned left, where there's a fast straight road to continue descending. Instead, I chose to go through this suburb street, mainly to check the handlebar and everything is holding okay so far. But I will return to the fast road just after. Here I had the second close call, and this one is totally related to the narrow handlebars. I almost wiped out the front wheel. This is one of the most common crashes amongst professional cyclists as well, a bicycle weak point if you will. It's very obvious that a narrow handlebar doesn't help at all to balance the bike. That's why it needs a certain level of advanced experience. You see, the limits of balance are the same, but it's just harder to do it right every single time. Adding to that the short stem, makes the bicycle particularly twitchy to anyone not familiarized with such bike setup. It's not all advantages, there's some handling cost to pay as well, and this is what I'm trying to evaluate using this extremely narrow handlebar. At what point better comfort starts to create handling problems. By the way, ironically, the reason I originally created this 29 handlebar wasn't to make it extremely narrow, but to reduce the so-called reach. I wanted to make a handlebar that shortens the distance to the brake levers, and thus had to remove the 90-degree tube bend in the sides and simply solder the drops directly into the straight bar section. This way reducing the reach, but in turn reducing the width by a lot. The reach reduction worked pretty well, but I was never convinced about the resulting width. Because back then the bikes I used had other major performance problems. That's why the narrow handlebars only made the experience more weird. But on this current road bike, I would be happy to keep them on. Although after hitting the previous fast hill bump, I'm pretty certain that a little bit more width would be beneficial. The moment I had to face the speed bumps at high speed, I really felt underpowered to absorb the ramps and landings. So yeah, a little bit more width is in order for sure. But overall, I am totally convinced something around 29 cm is much better than the 38 I was using previously. It goes without saying, but the reason I am testing these handlebars doing a downhill from the mountain instead of directly in the street is because there are performance problems that only show when putting the bike under extreme conditions. However, the reason I wanted to reduce the handlebar width was that the arms were getting fatigued because of a possible excess width. You see, road bikes with slim wheels are very rigid. This is good for power of transfer efficiency, but also means all the hard vibrations are transmitted to the body constantly. And with a short stem, every little vibration gets transmitted to the arms. Naturally, the body can absorb a certain level of vibrations, acting sort of a suspension system through all the articulations, like the wrist, elbows, shoulder, etc. But here is where it gets complicated. There's an important part of the arms that need to be stiff almost all the time, and it's crucial. The hands articulations need to be precise to brake when all this vibration and rattling is going on. You see, when having to navigate through busy traffic and people, the chances of collision is so high, similarly like a technical downhill, where the articulation with brakes and gear shifting is paramount. The hands need to be locked on and perform with strength and precision, no matter how the terrain shakes you around. This tension contrast between having different parts of the arms, both loose and rigid, demands some careful ergonomic design. Otherwise, typically what happens is the rider loses more and more the braking sensibility, and then the handling capacity, because the stiffest articulations of the arms naturally start to fall apart first. So, what happens with a wide road handlebar? If the size is too big, the first thing I notice is that it opens more the chest and arms position. This forces the back to bend more forward. This in turn overloads the upper body weight into the arms. The arms get fatigued faster. And what's the part of the arms that cracks first? Exactly. You can also experience this very clearly when braking and carrying a lot of momentum at the same time. In these situations, the braking has to be so precise to avoid a wipeout due to the high momentum forces that any rattling or vibrations has to be absorbed by the arms. Then the arms bends the elbows over, acting as suspension. This multitask exercise of the arms with a proportionally narrow handlebar is much less taxing for the body, especially considering most of the time this is happening while pedaling kilometers non-stop. And don't forget that when going uphill, the energy fatigue happens way faster than normal, meaning it's obvious that most of the energy is utilized in the legs. That's why narrow handlebars allow for maintaining the arms and upper body fresh when handling is critical for the situation. Well, that was some deep shit. In reality, I'm from the school of, don't let anyone tell you that the way you're doing cycling is wrong. That is, provided you're not f***ing around.